Knicks fans, what's going on? It's your boy Ruben. You know what it is. I'm happy to make this video today. I was definitely looking forward to it because what a day it is to be a Knicks fan. Draft was last night. It's been a hell of a 3 days, right? So what's happened in the last 2-3 days? We've re-signed. Let me start from the top. We traded for Mikal Bridges, right? Let's break that down before I get into what else happened, right? So we traded for Mikal Bridges, 5 first-round picks, 4 unprotected, 1 protected, a pick swap in 28, and a second-round pick. Hell of a haul, right? Now, for those that were talking to me and were like, "Hey, you know what? That's a lot. That's too much." He now replaces the Rudy Gobert deal as most turned your nose up at type of trade, right? Except here's the thing, right? And why I love the trade. Now, I feel like he was the missing piece for the New York Knicks, right? Now, what I've tried to explain before in the past, for those that think it's too much, right? Is like he's worth whatever somebody's willing to give. And I know that sounds like a generic answer to some people, but supply and demand, especially in the NBA, is a real thing, right? In this instance, I spent the last couple weeks, basically since the season ended, basically since the Knicks season ended, thinking about what's the move we're going to make. This is the season to do it. And for those of you that don't know why this is the season to do it, it isn't just, we look good. We really kind of felt like we had a chance to be in the Eastern Conference Finals. It isn't just that. That is a part of it, but it isn't just that. It's that this season and beyond, we're looking at, with the new CBA rules, possible second apron possibilities. And if you don't know what that is, this year there are 2 aprons, first and second apron, where if you go too far into the luxury tax, there's a threshold now that prohibits the way you add talent to the team, right? So basically, it's in place to kind of stop the super team thing. These teams making, they got 3 max contracts on the books. Those teams are going to have a very hard time finding talent to supplement those guys now because there's stringent rules like you can't trade picks, you can't you no longer have the mid-level exception, you can't participate like in the buyout market, things like that are in are part of the second apron, right? Nobody actually wants to be in the second apron unless you're competing for a championship. And that's why this year was pivotal for us to make the big move. It's because if we're going to compete for a championship, it's now with the new rules of the CBA, because we were headed for the second apron if we re-signed everybody, right? OG gets his contract. We bring Isaiah Hartenstein back, everybody. Right? We were heading for the second apron and we still would have had all our picks and not have gotten that star that puts us over the top, right? So the reason I loved this is because it was the big move, Mikal Bridges. Now, a lot of people are kind of looking at him like, well, he ain't KD, he ain't Paul George, like he isn't, LeBron James, like he isn't these superstars that are on the market, right? And so this is what I said when I was discussing supply and demand. He meant that to us. First off, it was going to take that much to pry him from the Nets, okay? The Nets, who reside in Brooklyn, were not going to just hand over Mikal Bridges, okay? It was going to have to be worth it to them, and because not only are they in the same conference, we're in the same state, right? Right? And so that was going to be a tough sell, right? So we were going to have to overpay. That's one. 2, I spent the last couple weeks trying to talk myself into Kevin Durant and Paul George. And I know to some of us casual fans, and I'm not trying to say that disrespectfully, but there are some fans that just kind of look at things surface level and don't look at things, for the long haul, right? And my problem with that is okay, Paul George, great player, but him, KD, Basically, most of the guys that were available that you can consider that were going to put us over the top either are too old, too injury prone, or just didn't make sense, right? So a thought exercise I had with a friend was, well, if Mikal Bridges weren't worth five first round picks, well, who is at this point, right? That's available. And he mentioned Donovan Mitchell. And my point to him was, okay, well, if Donovan Mitchell is worth 5 first round picks, to him, right? He's a Heat fan. That makes sense for the Heat. I can see where that works, right? But it doesn't make sense for the Knicks, who already have Jalen Brunson. And you want to add another 6'1" ball dominant guard to that situation. As much as I would love it in 2K, maybe, that doesn't jive if we're trying to win a championship, right? We're already trying to convince people we can win a championship with one 6'1" ball dominant guard, right? And so I didn't want Paul George. He's 34, 35 years old. I didn't want KD. Not only did he shit on New York in the past, but he's also 35, 34 years old, and injury prone. Both guys miss significant amount of games, right? And they're going to require max deals. So if we're going to go into the second apron with these older guys, do we win a championship this year? Do we win it next year when they get older? Where are we at in a couple years, right? Those contracts are not going to age well. And even though they might be serviceable, but do you guys really expect them to be the superstar talents that they are supposedly in 2-3 years from now? That's why this was the move, right? The only younger guy that kind of they kind of could have been an option, and I wouldn't give 5 first round picks up for him, is Brandon Ingram, because that guy misses games every year. And while he's an elite scorer, he doesn't play defense. Mikal Bridges, one of the best 3-and-D wings in the game, has been to All-NBA, has been second in the running for Defensive Player of the Year in the past, right? Now, that was the move prior to yesterday, before the draft. Yesterday, before the draft, OG Anunoby, 5 years, over $200 million, okay? A lot of guys, like this is what I'm talking about. You got to strike when the iron's hot. Before I dive into OG Anunoby, just one little tidbit about why the Mikal Bridges trade was brilliant and why it had to happen now, okay? Free agency, I believe, opens this weekend, I believe, right? And if that would have been the worst case scenario, was to not have made the big move, right, prior to signing OG Anunoby. And you wanted to do it before free agency and before the new league year starts and before the whole new CBA kicks in, right? Here's the rub. If we would have allowed OG Anunoby, right, it allowed us, bam, the big move's in, now let's focus on getting OG signed. Because if you allow him to go into free agency, you allow other teams to get in it, and now his price tag goes up, right? We're the only team that can offer 5 years, but somebody like Philly could have offered him 40 a year, right, for 4. 40 plus a year for 4. They could have offered him a max, and now we're competing with that, and that gives us a whole new level of problems, right? So that's why the Mikal Bridges thing happening when it did was important. And if they overspent for it a little bit, you know what I'm saying, so be it. That's the price of doing business, right? So now, fast forward today, OG Anunoby signs. Big deal. Now we have arguably the 2 best 3-and-D wings in the game, right? What I love about it even more, and what some of our fans are lost on, are I think both teams have the ability to, both guys, OG and Mikal, have shown enough potential offensively to think there might be something there. These are 2 guys that I used to tell people all the time, and I used to want one or the other, right? In the last couple of years, I was like, man, I really hope they trade for Mikal, or I really hope they trade for OG. OG was a little expensive, but what I liked about him is, and I said this, OG played with Kawhi, right? And all they asked him to do is play defense. he hits the corner three at an elite level, right? But sometimes when you see that he gets an opportunity to kind of do his thing with the ball, you see that there might be some potential there that he might have ISO ability, right? I'm not saying he's Kawhi. I'm not saying, but it makes me think of Kawhi because Kawhi started out as a defender and then he developed into that star player. I got a guy who plays elite level defense, played with Kawhi, and every time I see him do his thing with the ball, I like what I see. A la 28 points in the playoffs before he got hurt, right? Same thing with Mikal Bridges. I liked Mikal Bridges in the draft, if you guys remember. Mikal Bridges came from Villanova, and he was known as a shooter, a scorer, right? So when Phoenix got him, and you got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they relegated him to basically, you know what, you're going to guard everybody's best defensive player. And then when we kick it to you, just hit the three, right? They relegated him to just 3-and-D status, but he was a scorer. And so I said, you know what? This guy already has scoring ability. And then he developed all-star level defense, right? And now both, I wanted one. Now both are on the team. I don't think you guys understand how much this is going to unlock everything, right? Jalen Brunson, if he wants to, can be an MVP running. He can have off nights and just hand it off to Julius Randle, who I can't believe that we kept everybody. I can't believe we kept everybody. I thought this was going to, happen where that we were going to get one or the other, or if we got both, great. But I did not think we'd be able to keep everybody. And I don't think you guys understand how thrilled you should be about it, right? We have 2 all-star players surrounded by 3 of the best defenders in the league. OG, Mikal, and as of right now, Mitchell Robinson, that a lot of y'all need to start putting some respect on my boy's name, okay? Mitchell Robinson, in my opinion, is the best defensive center in the league. Okay, the way he controls the paint, the best offensive rebounder in the league at the center position, and the way he just deters offenses away from the basket. Right? It's so he's the glue. He's the centerpiece of what we do on defense when he's around. Now I got it. You guys are down on him because of the injuries. I get it. But I would have it no other way than to put this roster together the way they did. Now, I say all that to say there is still a slim chance that a couple moves are made to open up cap space. And that could include Julius Randle or Mitchell Robinson. But as of right now, I want to see what this team does together before we start making other moves or breaking it apart or whatever, because Mitchell Robinson, for what he brings at only $14 million, it's just something that it's invaluable in my opinion. Some of you guys want to spend $25 million for a soft ass DeAndre Ayton, and I get it. Like sometimes we get so enamored with if we could score in the middle. We don't need the center to score. If he did, that was great. That's cherry on top. But the biggest thing in this system we need our big to do is be strong in the paint. Control the paint. You guys are not thinking about when we have to match up against Embiid again. You guys are not thinking about if we make the finals and we have to play Jokic. You guys are not thinking about if we make the finals and Dallas is back in the finals with Derek Lively in his second year, Daniel Gafford. You guys are not thinking about how Boston, right, that's actually their weakness is, while, yes, Porzingis is 7'3", they can't control the paint against bigger guys like this. All right? That's what you guys are not thinking about. And I really wish we would appreciate him more. Word in the streets as of right now is we traded out of the first round. We recouped 5 second-round picks, and then we drafted a Euro stash player so that we can save just enough money that there's a possibility, small possibility, if Isaiah Hartenstein works with us, that he'll re-sign with the team. And we'll be basically running it back, having added Mikal Bridges to the squad. I'm hyped for next season. I thought we had a shot at Boston last year if we were healthy. I definitely see the finals on the horizon. All we need is health. And even if it's not health, we just don't need season-ending injuries because OG goes down, we still got Mikal, we still got Hart, we still got DiVincenzo, and those guys are coming off the bench. That's all I got for y'all. Let me know what you think. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Peace.